Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of the Field and Garden Podcast. It is your friend in flowers, Lisa Mason Ziegler, and I am so glad that you're here. And I'd like to extend a very special welcome, friend, if this is your first time here. I know that you have a lot of choices, and I am grateful that you chose to be here with me. If you are new, let me introduce you to thegardenersworkshop.com, which is what we call home base to all that we do at thegardenersworkshop.com. You'll find over there our fully stocked online garden shop that only includes those things that I use here on my flower farm, tools, seeds, supplies, and of course I offer my books, which I would be honored to sign one for you. We also have a full online library of our online courses, as well as you can hook up with all of our free resources, including our sister podcast, Seed Talk. Bottom line, friends, visit thegardenersworkshop.com because there is a lot of fun stuff over there. Before I jump into our topic today, the power of community, I want to just share a little bit that I think I struggled with back before I started flower farming. This is what I want to say to you. If you are the person that thinks that you just can't do it for whatever reason, I want to say everyone that wants to become a flower farmer can do it. Success isn't based on or required to have education, wisdom, or experience, or a tractor, a greenhouse, or acreage. What it does take is the can-do attitude of grit and gumption that we can all muster up. And I want to just highlight this here because being in community with other people that are on the same journey as you just really sets you up for success. So anyone that wants to become a flower farmer can do it, period. End of that part. And you can learn more about my story in a lot of different places through my books. And that can just really show you that, here's the short nut in a nutshell version. I was barely a novice gardener when I discovered flower farming. I live in the middle of the city, totally surrounded in houses. There are like no other farmers in sight or even near me when I started. And I just thought it wasn't possible. And putting my head down and doing the work, and here I am. And you can get the details to that in a lot of different places. And I encourage you to do that if you need that type of information and inspiration to actually move forward. And so I want to talk today about community and the power that's in it, because you may be like me. I just didn't even know what being in a community, a club, a membership, what that really is all about. And I want to point out that I am a product of being in a community. My experiences and benefits from that have become the vision, the foundation, what I'm working from, that I have created my own online community that is called the Flower Farmer Club. And I see this club as a community, or maybe you ought to think of it as a hub, the kind of go-to place for continuing education in flower farming, with a component of the support that we all need on a continuous basis. It's where you're going to learn. It's where you're going to develop grit and gumption that I spoke of earlier. It's where you're going to be able to flex your flower farming business muscles and so much more. All of the things that I really felt like were key to when I made leaps and bounds forward. I spent a lot of time wallering, y'all. And that's what I want to help everybody get out of, skip over, or at least know you have another option, right? So if you want to think of it this way, think of it as a community with a hall monitor, meaning that there's somebody sitting on it to help guide the quality of the conversations, by chiming in with perhaps a better answer than what was given by a community member maybe, or just to help keep us on track. In addition to all the content stuff, which I'll talk about that in a moment. I don't know if you remember being in school when you changed classes. I guess you had to be in middle school and higher. You changed classes, and there was always that person that was out in the hall when you came out. They didn't always have anything to say or to do, but their presence just, you knew you had somebody to go to ask if you needed something, right? And I know for me personally in flower farming and business, I am always seeking out those people that knew, those people that have already done it, and that have done it really well. I mean, I heard somebody say this, and, you wouldn't ask somebody to teach you how to play the piano if they didn't know how to play the piano. And friends, I will tell you that we see that every day in the flower farming industry. People asking other people that are in the same spot that they're in, right? So the opportunity to be in the presence of those that have gone before you, a mentor, if you want to think of it that way, to be in their presence, to absorb what they're talking about, what they're doing, what their replies are to people. And I will say that that's how I built everything that I'm doing in my business world. I knew nothing about anything, right? This is what's behind or at the foundation of the Flower Farmer Club. It's all the things that really helped me to move forward. And, I know just how discouraging it can be in business and in farming. When you have a failure, when something goes really, really wrong, you lose a crop, you lose a bunch of money, you make a huge mistake, you're just spiraling down. And a lot of times we don't ever come back because we don't have somebody to catch us, to put their hand on your back and to say something like, I've been through that. You're going to be really okay. It's going to be all right. I probably have more practice at that than anybody just because of cool flowers, of how many of us are terrified when cold weather comes. And I totally get it. But to be able to say it's really going to be okay, trust the process. And that's that if you want to kind of write that phrase down, I have that written on my desk. It sits right in front of my computer screen. Trust the process. And you can apply that to a lot of things in life, right? But in a community with like-minded people that are heading down the same road, they don't have to be on the same part of the road that you're on, that are supportive, can change everything. And another thing about this community is I am really here to shepherd the club members. I'm not really managing the community, if you want to think of it that way. I am that person standing in the hall that you can ask questions to and get an answer that you can trust. I am here to help you, to give you what you need so you can figure out your own path, what it is that you want to do. I want to point you to the promised land, y'all. But it's not required. You don't have to go anywhere, make any movement. It's all just here, readily available to help you along on your journey. Now, one of the benefits of being in community that I was so surprised and to be able to witness and to see actually happen is about when you get inside a closed group, you feel safe and supported. You feel connected to the other people, that people start exploring their possibilities, and they get, for lack of a better word, they get creative and explore, what can I do to start a business, to build a business, to expand a business? Because you feel like you're in a safe place. You can ask what you might think is a dumb question, which there are no dumb questions, right? Having a perimeter around you in your community really makes amazing things happen. And because we just feel really, really safe. I heard a story once told about, they did a study where they took a person and their dog and put them out in the middle of this big open field and sat them on a bench, sat the person on the bench. And the dog really kind of just stuck really close to the person. They didn't feel very inclined to go explore. They just kind of stayed right there. Then they took the same person and the same dog and put them in a fenced-in area. The dog immediately started exploring because of the feeling of safetiness. And the same thing happens with us. When we feel safe, y'all, amazing things happen. And that's what the Flower Farmer Club provides to you, in addition to all the learning and the content part of it. That boundary gives us the freedom to do what we may otherwise only dream of. It becomes home base to those who want to or are flower farming and everything related. It's this vibrant community that members can engage and, literally feel loved and trusted and seen and heard, right? And the power of community is something that is really, really special. And that's what the Flower Farmer Club is all about. It's about shared knowledge, breaking isolation, problem solving together. But let me just tell you just a little bit about the actual club and what kind of club benefits are in there. Like, what is the structure? What do we do in there? So there's several things, and you can partake in all or those that fit or that you have time for. And here's the most amazing thing. Everything in the club is library cataloged, so you can go back. I know in the heat of the season, so many of us barely have time to get our jobs done, much less beyond that. Guess what, friends? Stuff keeps coming, but it's all there ready and waiting for you when that time arises. So let's look at it. So there's several different pieces to the club. The Flower Farmer Forum is a monthly meetup where I do a mini training, typically related to something seasonal that happens to be going on at that point in time, followed up by a live Q&A. Those are questions that are submitted beforehand. So like, for instance, if you can't attend, you can send your questions in and get them answered. But I also take live questions during that, and that is recorded and in your library. Then we have, which is a member's favorite, the club masterclasses. Once a month, I drop a training that is related to flower farming, business, and just a lot of different aspects. We've done making bouquets. I did an interview with my marketing agency that we've used for years. And got some great tips on where to start and how to start, as well as we did one with irrigation. Then we talk about, there's a class on what to do with your leftover flowers. We dry them. Then we had a follow-up master class that said, now what do I do with all the dried flowers? Great content over there. And then we have our seasonal group challenges, which I find to be pretty fun because you know what, friends, what I've learned about myself, I need a deadline. If I don't have a deadline, I just never get to it. And so we have these challenges that you can participate in where, the challenge, this winter challenge was picking one resource and go deep. Like, for instance, if you decided to do that, you could say, I'm going to watch all of a course that I have. That is all you can make of it. You can either do a little bit or you can go all in and really embrace the challenges. And then I think the heart of this community is the networking. That is our community board, which works very much just like Facebook. It's not in Facebook. You can post pictures and videos. You can tag people. You can search the discussion so you can find previous discussions. You can tag people for asking questions, and it is really where people engage and get to know one another and reach out when they're facing a struggle, right? And so that is really a favorite place for members as well as myself. And then there's the Bloomcast, which is a private podcast that I give expert advice. And I even invite others in the industry to come in and give inspirational stories because I think that sometimes we all need a cheerleader, y'all. And for me personally now in our business, that is my leadership team. And I will come to leadership meetings just so eat up with something, a problem, an issue, or something new that I want to do that I just can't figure it out. And sharing it and then listening to the feedback and then the encouragement. Our team is so encouraging to me. And that's what I want to offer to you in this Bloomcast, is to meet you where you are and encourage you and throw in a little bit of information also, right? So those are kind of the members only benefits. And who is this club for? This club is really for aspiring flower farmers and established flower farmers, and even passionate flower gardeners. If you are a passionate flower gardener and you just want to grow like a flower farmer, this is definitely a place that you would benefit from. Don't underestimate the power of community, friends. And I invite you to join me inside the Flower Farmer Club to get some of that shared knowledge, get out of your own box, and to have somebody else to brainstorm with, to actually help you to solve problems, and to know that I have made this a safe and authentic place where you know that it's trusted, that there's a boundary around it, or a perimeter, or a fence, or whatever you would like to call it, around this amazing culture. And I would love for you to be a part of it as it grows and develops, because we have our ears on, y'all. We want to hear. There's a place in the club all the time where you can fill out a survey, I guess you call it, where you can tell us, what do you want more of? What do you want less of? What's not even in here that would really be helpful to you? What we do know is feeling safe and that they can be vulnerable in here is the number one thing that people are looking for, and for reliable information. And that's what we are all about with the Flower Farmer Club, to allow this group to grow and flourish by equipping flower farmers to build the business of their dreams. So friends, I hope to see you inside the Flower Farmer Club. I am thrilled to be there, to shepherd, to guide, to point you in the right direction, and to participate in the conversations, and to read your feedback. All right, folks, until we meet again, ciao.